Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. Join award-winning host Dale Davidson as he interviews the most remarkable people you'll find in the entertainment capital of the world. You'll meet entertainers, sports figures, newsmakers, community and business leaders, and people just like you with stories that'll touch your heart. Now, here's Dale Davidson. A potential audience of more than 50 million people is reached every week by Las Vegas Tonight. To keep the important message of Christ's love on the air, we need your prayers and financial blessings. Please send your tax-deductible gift to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For a donation of $25 or more, we'll send you a copy of Dale Davidson's new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You'll love these inspiring stories of Las Vegas Christians who are changing the world. Or donate to the ministry, or order Dale's book by going to vegassaints.org. That's vegassaints.org. Or call us today at 702-480-3989. That's 480-3989. God bless you.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. Each and every show we bring you fascinating guests here from Las Vegas. We've done it again. Cynthia Bartmess is with us. She has an amazing story. She's going to talk about the grace of the Lord, and she's also going to talk an amazing story about forgiveness. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me today.
Appreciate it so much, Cynthia.
Thank you.
I've heard of you, and with our friend Bonnie has said wonderful things about you. Bonnie used to work here at the station, and she suggested I have you on, and it certainly was a great idea.
Oh, well, I'm thankful.
Yeah.
I'm thankful.
I turned on the news the other day, and there you were, doing something truly remarkable, and that's forgiving your son's killer. Mm-hmm. And really insisting that the death penalty be taken off the table.
Right.
I want you to set the scene, if you don't mind, now talking about that, and then we'll back up and talk a little bit more about your life. But it's just such an amazing, wonderful story of Christian forgiveness that I want everybody to have a chance to hear about your motivation to do that right here at the top of the show. If that's okay.
Absolutely. The first thing that I would like to say is it was only by the grace of God that I was able to do that. And he said some things to me personally that spoke to my heart. And the first one was before the murder trial started, was that he wanted me to look at this young man as if he were my own son from the eyes of a mother. And I thought that was a lot to ask.
I would say. Of
me. And I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and I prayed about it and said, how can you ask me to do that? And then I was reminded of his son on the cross.
Sure.
And I felt the pain of the Father at that time as a mother. And I think that just kind of set the stage for what was about to happen. And so I called the district attorney, and I asked him if there was any possible way that we could offer this gentleman a plea bargain, that he would take, if he admitted his guilt, ask for forgiveness. And so that was a 2-week process of the defense actually working on getting him to sign this agreement, and he refused. And he still claimed not guilty. Why he was doing that, I have no idea. But in that 2-week time period, I did not want our family to have to face that trial. I did not want to sit in the courtroom and listen. I didn't want to face him. I didn't want to see him. And so the Lord convicted me in that and said, this isn't about you. you know, because I was praying, I want him to take the plea. I don't want to do this. I want this. And it didn't happen. So when the final result came to be, and a day or two actually later, I said, oh my gosh, Lord, this is what you wanted. This is what was supposed to happen. I didn't know it. I didn't even believe I could ever be capable of doing something like, well, that's not true, because I am a giving person.
That's really giving, however.
I do have a giver's heart, which I'm grateful for. And so that's how it came to where my heart was being softened through that whole trial.
And you feel that the Lord wanted it to proceed so that you would have that opportunity for a heart change? And also, did he feel, or do you feel that he was saying, you know, this plea bargain idea that you have is too much about you and not...
Probably.
Yeah.
Because ultimately...
Because you didn't want to go through the pain. You didn't want to put your family through the pain. Yeah.
Ultimately, I believe that God wanted to show his glory and his power and what forgiveness can do to a community and to one individual who he still loves. He still loves my son's killer. And if you look at it as looking through the eyes of Christ, God doesn't want to kill him, because that's only the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy.
Yes. Yes, seeking to devour. It's a remarkable story. Can you give us a little background as to the murder, how that all came about?
Yes. My son was involved in a music ministry.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't so much Christian-based, but the music that they wrote and that they sang and that they rapped was of helping young people come out of darkness with if they were involved in drugs or promiscuity or addictions or families that were dysfunctional. And it was all about that. Their music was all about that. And so they were getting ready to perform, and I've got some pictures of him actually performing, but...
And we'll put those up.
He was performing on a Thursday evening out in Henderson against a big crowd at a place called Daddy Mac's. And so that whole couple of weeks prior to the show, him and his partner were out putting up flyers and Facebooking and whatever was multimedia was at that time, social media at that time was that they were promoting. So he was out meeting people, selling tickets for this concert that he was performing in. So he had met a gal that evening. She had already bought 2 tickets prior to that night, and she said, could I get one more? And so my son Mike said, sure. So he met her at Tenaya Creek Brewery. They exchanged the tickets for money. Mike got back into his car, and he left the door open, and the gentleman came around and didn't even give him a chance to look up, because I know every detail of the murder now.
Oh, you do?
I know every bullet, where it went, where it came through. I know everything. And I don't know why, but I do know that it was instant, and I don't even know if I'm able to mention his name.
It's public record.
Yeah, so Brandon Hill, he shot him to death, threw him on the ground, and drove off in his car, stole his ticket money, and just left him there like, as the prosecution said, a piece of trash.
Mike, where did Mike fit in your family as far as the kids are concerned?
Mike was my 3rd child.
Okay.
Middle child.
Tell us about
He was 22 years old.
Tell me about the other kids in your family.
Our oldest daughter, she lives in Washington. Her name is Marissa. She's got 3 little kids.
Oh, grandkids are the best.
So cute. They're so cute.
Yeah.
They are cute.
Yeah.
They're very cute. And my oldest son, Rico, he lives here in town.
Right.
He works for a venture capitalist company. He graduated from Faith Lutheran High School, and then he went to California Lutheran University.
Oh, okay.
And
Good
now
school.
he's really involved in finance, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then my son Joe is a college student at UNLV.
Mm-hmm. And a well-known football player.
Yeah, yeah. He is a well-known football player. And then there was my daughter Christina, who would be turning 21 in April.
Yes. Do you want to talk about her and what happened there as well? It was pretty close to Mike's death, and what a double whammy for you.
Well, let me just backtrack just a little bit. In that 5 months between her death and Mike's death, her and Mike were the closest of my children. All my kids were very, very close.
Right.
But Mike was a little older, and Joe was still in high school, so Mike would drive her here, drive her there. He would be the one to interview if there was any boys coming around.
Kind of more of a protector.
He was
than Joe was.
You know, she would call him and say, Mike, will you come pick me up? I don't want Mom and Dad to know, you know, that I ended up here. And so he would go pick her up and bring her home and not tell Mom or Dad about it. So
that's what a good big brother does.
He was so good. But they were so close. Even when they were little, it was unusual that he would rather be in the house with me when she was a baby and feed her than be outside playing.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So when he died, a spirit of joy died in her too.
Oh.
And
it affects the whole family, doesn't it?
She was angry. She was so angry and hurt and devastated that she just lost a sense of just that softness, that joy. And she would cry out in the middle of the night. I would hear her crying because our bedrooms are right next door to each other.
Oh.
And I would go in and hold her. And she would cry out and say, Mom, I just want to go be with Mike. And to hear that from your baby, she was the baby of the family, was just ultimate devastation. And she got her wish. She was riding she was what I call bad on ATV. She knew how to work it. She'd been riding that machine since she was 4 years old. And she knew how to ride. But she had her cell phone in her hand. She wasn't paying attention, and she hit a rock and flipped it, and it crushed her to death.
Oh, boy.
And I got a call from her cell phone, and I said, hi, honey, what's going on? Where are you? And it was another person on the phone. I didn't recognize who it was, some man, and told me that there's been an accident. You need to get up here right away. So I was actually there before any paramedics or police or fire department got there.
Really?
Yeah, so she was dead when I found her.
Oh, I'm so sorry. This was in Utah? Right?
Utah.
Right.
It was Labor Day weekend. So it was just five and a half months after Mike's murder. So that was just a horrific time for my family, for everybody.
I'm sure it was. Yeah, and we want to talk about that more. Before we take a break, which we need to do, if you don't mind, I would like to read from last Sunday's Las Vegas Review-Journal. And as you and I discussed before we rolled tape here, this is a secular newspaper. I don't know anything about who wrote it because they don't sign their editorials. But it's pretty amazing the impact that what you've done has had on this community. Let me just read a couple of paragraphs. Sometimes a person does something so magnanimous and so unexpected that it can make even the most hardened soul have renewed faith in humanity. Cynthia Portaro delivered such a moment last week at the Regional Justice Center. Her actions were so moving that veteran public defender Joseph Aboud said he'd never seen anything like it. On the night of March 30th, 2011, Mrs. Portaro lost her 22-year-old son, Mike. He was in the parking lot of the Tenaya Creek Brewery selling tickets to his hip-hop group's show when he was shot to death. Brandon was convicted of the murder as well as robbery with use of a deadly weapon and grand larceny auto. After initially denying all involvement in the crime, Hill, before the court, apologized to Mike Portaro's family. Mrs. Portaro could have ignored him. She could have told him to burn in hell. Instead, she forgave him. On Monday, Cynthia Portaro approached prosecutors who were seeking the death penalty and told them she did not want to see Hill executed. The district attorney's office honored her request, withdrew the death penalty, and now plan to seek a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. It's remarkable.
You know, I do have to add into that, it wasn't all about me and me wanting that. It was my sons and I met beforehand and we talked about it. Yeah. And they didn't want any part of the death penalty.
That's a remarkable thing. It says something amazing about how you've raised them as well. We need to take a brief break. We'll be back with Cynthia Portaro and more of this amazing story right after this.
Drawn by the lights, glamour, and opportunities in Sin City, they come from all over the world, searching for their chance to be a pretty woman, a success, or maybe just to have a better life. Be somebody. What happened after they got here is literally changing the world. From the story of Tommy Scott, a former gang enforcer turned Christian evangelist, to the Hookers for Jesus Outreach Ministry, to the heart-wrenching story of Arturo Martinez and his heroic act of forgiving the man who assaulted and murdered his wife and 10-year-old daughter. Las Vegas Tonight presents an extraordinary depiction of Las Vegas as a city of transformation, from Sin City to Vegas Saints. Las Vegas Tonight, from Sin City to Vegas Saints, a collection of true stories of transformation, people whose lives were transformed, and people who are now transforming the world.
Hello, I'm Dale Davidson. I hope you're enjoying Las Vegas Tonight. The guests we've had on the program are wonderful examples of Christians who take seriously Christ's command to love one another. In addition to the hundreds of television stations across the United States now carrying our show, we have been presented with the outstanding opportunity to bring these inspiring stories to people around the world. An international satellite network in the Russian and Ukrainian languages has asked us to provide them with episodes to be broadcast to millions. To make a gift to support this very special effort, please send your check or money order to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. To use your credit or debit card, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you. And welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. We're very pleased to have with us Cynthia Portaro of Las Vegas. We're going to talk a little bit about what you do for a career in a minute or two, which is also very interesting. But she's here as a mom and a wife and a Christian who had 3 tragedies take place in her family, and her walk has been very impressive to everyone who knows Cynthia. Let's talk about the trial itself. The first time you walked in to see this young man being on trial for his life for killing your son, tell me what that was like and how you felt.
When he walked into the courtroom and he looked at me for the very first time, that was difficult to see and look into his eyes. And I can tell you, though, that the power of the Holy Spirit was definitely in that courtroom. I don't think there was a person in that courtroom when we first started that wasn't appointed by God. And I can tell you from the policemen that knew my family from a friend of a friend who actually they also lost a child, so we were connected in a way of communication her and I had. Her husband brought Brandon to the courtroom, and I got a text later on that day that he'd been standing there praying all day for the whole situation, what was going on. The advocate that I was appointed to graduated high school with my son Rico and is a Christian and was praying. The prosecuting attorney, our children have been best friends since they were in diapers. Even the detectives were from our church family, International Church of Las Vegas. Strong Christians. And I can tell you from watching the events of how they caught my son's killer were miracles. And we saw miracle signs and wonders in that courtroom. Because even to the fact that just if when he threw away the gun up on top of a trailer when they were chasing him, and the way he threw it up, if he had thrown it an inch or two farther, they would have never seen the gun. But when they were putting the flashlight looking for different things, the revolver, the end of the revolver, a light went off like it hit metal.
Wow.
And that's how they found it.
So they found the gun.
That's how they found it. So it was just a series of events that there was no denying that the kid made a grave mistake. You know, that he did it. There was no question.
Sure.
There was no question. So just being in there and being faced with that whole scenario of wondering why somebody would do that to another human being, what happened to this young man in his lifetime that caused him to have a dark heart. And so, of course, I've been praying for him to repent, to be transformed. I don't know if that happened, but at the end, when we did ask for the death penalty to be removed from the sentencing, and he stood up as I left the courtroom, and you'll see it on the video. He stood up, was not asked, but he stood up and apologized and thanked me for forgiving him. And I was able to say, wherever you are going, I hope you find peace, because you still have a life and you still have a destiny designed by God. I don't know what that is, but God only knows. And then I walked away, and I felt just a release of the burden of another life being taken.
You said, of course, I prayed for him, but, you know, that says an awful lot about the depth of your walk with Jesus, because it's not, of course. That would be an extremely hard thing for anyone to do. And I'd like you to talk for just a minute about the difference between seeking justice and giving forgiveness, in the sense that he did it, as you said. He needs to serve his time for doing so. Here on earth, he has to pay the penalty for and the consequences for what he did, but that's a different issue than forgiveness. And I think some people have not a really strong understanding of what that difference is, and they would look at a mom like you with a wonderful child like Mike and say, how could she forgive this guy? So tell me a little bit about the difference between those two in your mind.
Well, the Word tells us that forgiveness is just not for them, it's for us. Jesus died for us, for forgiveness of our sins. So when you forgive, it does something in you that is more powerful than anything that you could ever do or say to receive that forgiveness. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And you felt that.
I did.
Yeah.
I felt that release of, it was a Holy Spirit moment, I can tell you that.
I'll bet it was.
It wasn't of me. But when you do trust, and I can tell you the 4 years probably the first 2 years of the last 4 years, if I had to push myself to get out of bed, I would just cry out, put my feet in the slippers, and I would say, today, Lord, I'm going to trust you to redeem whatever has happened in our family. I'm just going to choose to trust you. And that's what it is. It's a choice that we have to follow the Word of God. Every day that you make a choice, you are choosing which you're going to follow, the Word and what you believe and what you profess. If you don't walk that, you're a hypocrite. I can't live like that, because I can't sleep at night if I'm not giving what I'm supposed to give to society. To be a witness of Christ, to be a true witness, is to live from the Word of God.
That's remarkable.
If you read Colossians, just real briefly, when my daughter passed away that day, that morning her girlfriend had a dream. And she was with my daughter Christina in the ocean on surfboards. And they were facing each other. And my daughter looked at her and she said, all my daughter said was Colossians 3:15. And then their surfboards floated away from each other, and then she didn't see her again. And that night my daughter was killed. So I didn't come home for a few days, but the volleyball coach, because they were volleyball teammates, she had phoned me and said, Courtney had a dream. So of course I went to the Word. And Colossians 3:15 is, let the peace of God rule in your hearts as one body, bearing one another, forgiving one another. And so that scripture, from actually verse 12 all the way to 17, has become my mojo. Forgiving one another, forgiving one another, forgiving. And I believe that that was for me, because God knew that that day, February 26th, whatever day it was, that Brandon was going for sentencing, he knew that day I would have to be faced with that. And before I even went up to speak, Pastor Denise Goulet was in my ear, holding my head, saying, let the peace of God rule in your heart. And just that whole peace came over me. And I was able to say, I forgive you, for they know not what they do.
Yeah, it's very, very touching. The last 4 years have to be hellacious for you. Tell me a little about what year 1, 2, 3, 4 were like for you, and how did you walk through it, and what role did prayer play in it? Whatever you want to say about it.
Well, there were so many days that I couldn't pray. I couldn't utter a word out of my mouth. I don't know if I just didn't have it in me, I didn't have the strength, but I always felt a certain amount of trust in God, that He would take care of whatever it was. My faith was strong, but I don't know, I just lost like my ability to pray. It was almost like He just asked me to be quiet for a while and just receive. And sometimes we are called to do that.
That's part of prayer.
Just part. So I would just turn on my worship music, and I would just, when I couldn't pray, I would just worship. And then I did a lot of studying on trauma, grief, read a lot of stories, a lot of testimonies, people that have walked through similar situations, devastation, severe losses. I could give you a list of books that have ministered to me through this 4 years. And then Christina died. I still had to go to work, still had to get up every day and go to work. And I was diagnosed with colon cancer in April of 2012. And so June I had surgery to remove a tumor. July I started chemotherapy. I did that for 8 months. And in the interim, in the middle of that, my husband was diagnosed with, he was in remission for a very long time of a tumor he had up in his sinus cavity. And so that came back.
Oh.
And I'm a believer of stress causes weakness of the body and the mind and the spirit.
Doctors agree with you on that.
Doctors
that's for sure.
do. And so I believe that part of all of that was all due to the trauma and the stress that my whole entire family was under.
Sure.
Extended we have a big family in town, and you know, his brothers and family and nephews and nieces and everybody. It was a huge loss. These losses were huge. And then my husband lost his battle to cancer this past Thanksgiving.
Richard.
2014, Thanksgiving Day. He went to be with the Lord and my kids.
How do you stand it?
Well, the Bible, not the Bible doesn't say, but I've read somewhere that it says when you can't stand, kneel.
Right.
Just a lot of support from my community, friends, people. Financial devastation is still there. It's still with me. Fortunately, my friends set up a family fund for us, and we were able to have a memorial, a nice memorial, but you know, there's doctor bills and for both of us the last couple of years and things that we have to take care of, and Richard not being able to work as hard as he was used to working, you know, his battle through cancer was 50 times harder than mine was. I mean, the trials he went through, the radiation, and just it was hard on our whole family, hard on him physically, so he wasn't able to work like he was used to, and just step by step, one day at a time, one step at a time.
We're going to take another brief break. When we come back, I want to give the viewers an opportunity to connect with you and your ministry. I want to talk a little bit about your career and give you an opportunity to give us any more insights that you would like to give us. You're a remarkable woman.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll be back with more with Cynthia Portaro right after this.
From the victim's family. Today, the district attorney's office withdrew its motion against Brandon Hill for the 2011 murder of aspiring musician Michael Portaro. 8 News Now reporter Karen Castro was inside the courtroom where there was an emotional exchange between the victim's mom and Hill. Karen?
That's right, Dave. The victim's mother says she does not want her son's killer to have the same fate, and while she says she forgave him years back, today she finally got something she has been waiting for, an apology.
It's been a grueling 4 years for the entire Portaro family.
Cynthia Bartmess stood in front of a courtroom asking a judge to spare her son's killer's life.
We do not ask that the court pursue a death penalty.
She says she does not want another life taken. And just as she was going back to her seat, Hill got up and came face to face with the person who potentially saved his life.
Okay, and I hope you find peace where you're going. You still have a life and a destiny.
Her words nearly brought Hill to tears.
I felt like he was sincere. I did.
Outside the courtroom, our cameras were rolling as 2 families brought together by tragedy embraced each other in hugs.
I felt a sense of relief that there is no hatred, animosity, anger, because if you live in Christ, you cannot live with those things.
Hill's family did not want to speak to us on camera, but his defense attorney praised the Portaro family for their actions.
The fact that she could come in here and forgive him and ask that the death penalty be withdrawn and then have him apologize to her the way that he did, I've never seen anything like it.
And 4 years after Michael Portaro was gunned down during a robbery outside a Northwest brew pub, his family is ready to move on.
And I pray for his family and my family as well.
Hill still faces life in prison. His sentencing is scheduled for April 16th. Meanwhile, the victim's family has started a support group for grieving families. It's called Morning Hope of Las Vegas. David Paula.
Drawn by the lights, glamour, and opportunities in Sin City, they come from all over the world, searching for their chance to be a pretty woman, a success, or maybe just to have a better life, be somebody. What happened after they got here is literally changing the world. From the story of Tommy Scott, a former gang enforcer turned Christian evangelist, to the Hookers for Jesus Outreach Ministry, to the heart-wrenching story of Arturo Martinez and his heroic act of forgiving the man who assaulted and murdered his wife and 10-year-old daughter. Las Vegas Tonight presents an extraordinary depiction of Las Vegas as a city of transformation, from Sin City to Vegas Saints. Las Vegas Tonight, from Sin City to Vegas Saints, a collection of true stories of transformation, people whose lives were transformed, and people who are now transforming the world.
Welcome back to our last segment on this particular edition of Las Vegas Tonight. We're very pleased to have with us Cynthia Portaro, who's been telling us an incredible story of grace, of mercy, of forgiveness, and a walk that's pretty wonderful. It really is. I guess one question I want to ask is, some people watching will be like me, and they'll say, I'm not as strong as that lady. You know, I think, you know, I could never be the way she is. She's obviously, further along in her walk. She's got an incredible understanding of what God is telling her. How could I ever get through something like this the way she did? And I think that's really what people are thinking right now. But you suffered, didn't you? And it took you a long time to get to this point, didn't it? You're working with other people that are suffering through grief and have a ministry. But you were really proactive in learning more about grief and Jesus' role in getting you through grief. Tell us a little bit about that journey, if you would.
Well, my personality is one that when I'm faced with something, I have to research it. I don't know. Mm-hmm. That's just how God wired me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even when we were diagnosed with cancer, my first is I want to research everything about it, mm-hmm. how to help.
Sure.
Cure it, how to do whatever. So that was part of my journey, is some of the books people had given me that I studied and read, some of that I bought on my own. And so I just decided that through my own pain, sometimes helping somebody else through that pain, because when Mike was killed, I had a stranger that I didn't know who knew somebody that I knew, or however that happened, contacted me, who had lost her son. And she helped me a lot through that early stage of grieving process. And it came to my mind that it helped her. So maybe if I do that, then I can help others. So we started a support group called Morning Hope of Las Vegas. We meet every Monday night. We do take a break in the summer, so we have 2 sessions. Mm-hmm. And I have a family therapist counselor that comes and works it with me. You probably know Kimberly Malloy.
I sure do. She's been on the air here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we do that together. Mm-hmm. And she actually helped me with counseling for that 4 years and this 4 years. So we teamed up together, mm-hmm. and now we're doing this. And I'm writing a book, which helps me. Writing really helps. So when now I'm working directly with the advocates at the DA's office, that they're able to now have an organization that they can say, here you go, make this phone call. if somebody has a tragedy, then they could call me on the phone, they could come to our support group, or they could go on our Morning Hope page, they could send me a message. So now I'm able to actually connect with people throughout the community. So I've made an enormous amount of connections with people that I am now able to minister to in a healthy way, because I understand the grieving process. I am walking through it still, just with my husband's death 3 months ago. And walking through something you'll never get over. So you just don't know how strong you are until you have to be strong enough.
That's very interesting, and also talk a little bit more about the concept of walking through something you're never going to get over, because that's the truth, isn't it? You're never going to get over these losses, and somebody who suffers a loss, particularly ones like you have suffered, it's not a reasonable expectation that you're going to get over this.
Mm-mm.
Is it?
No, but I would like to point out that in America, we have the shortest time that they give people to grieve.
Really?
A loved one.
Really?
You get 3 to 5 days off of work, paid. I got 2 weeks paid because my company that I was with was gracious enough to give me 2 weeks pay, but then if I didn't go back to work, I wasn't going to get paid. So I had to go back to work. In other countries, they give you months to grieve, which it takes just 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 months to get over the shock of losing somebody tragically. And we've had some pretty tragic things happen in Las Vegas in families.
Yes, we
just
have.
Recently, in the last couple of days, a mother and a daughter were killed, and just that that happens every single day around you. We are not far from that. And when I used to cry out to God and say, why me? Then I would know another family that was going through tragedy, and I would think, they're going through it. Why not? Why not me? What makes me so special that I'm not going to get hit with a tsunami or a 9/11? Because that's what it is for a family. It's a 9/11. You are devastated. And so if you can relate to total devastation, you could relate that to 9/11. It's not as big as a 9/11, but for a personal tragedy, that's what it is.
It's the same.
It's crash and burn. So just to have the ability to get up and say, you know what, I'm going to take this loss, whatever it is, and I'm going to carry my cross and honor the people that were lost. And that's what America did in 9/11, and that's what my call is to do for not only my loved ones, but the people that I am now connected with, that have partnered with me, that have lost children tragically, young children tragically. And so we carry that together in our walk. So it's quite an amazing thing to be able to do that, because it actually it reverses itself. When you give, you get that healing in you. There's something that happens in you. When you give, you get. That's just God's way that He designed His purpose in life. When you are a giving person, you get so much more back. So I'm finding through that, I'm finding my own personal way to heal that gives me a purpose to get up in the morning, is to honor the lives of my own loved ones.
And by extension, these other people that you brought into your group it's the same kind of giving that you're doing there and honoring that you're doing for those victims.
Right.
Because you're helping, the parents or, the relatives or whoever they are.
Right. And pretty much everybody that's in that group is hurting and is devastated, whether it's losing their wife or a child. There's grief that needs to be processed. And a lot of times we in America, we put on our makeup, us women, we get dressed up, we walk out the door, but really nobody knows what you're carrying inside your heart. Nobody knows the heaviness of the burden of your heart. That might be looking at you or me saying, well, you look like you got it all together. Well, not everybody does just because of the way they look. So we need to be a little bit more sensitive to people and what they're going through. So with that becomes a compassion. When you really truly look in the eyes of somebody and you say, how are you? And they say, oh, I'm fine. But you go one step further, say, what's going on in your life?
Yeah, really, how are you?
Become a little bit more prophetic about what's happening in that person's life. Speaking words of encouragement. And just the other day we were praying for somebody that I just felt was really burdened with stress. But you would never know it. Tall man of God, strong. But as we prayed for him, he broke and he cried. And he released that. So you never know what somebody's burdens they're carrying.
Oh, you sure don't.
So when they walk into the room, this is a safe place for them to be able to be around people that have been through what you will never get over.
Did you find, did you journal during this process?
Oh, yeah, a lot.
You did? How did that help? How did it help to write out your feelings?
It helped me to understand my feelings a little bit. It helped me to kind of bring in the Holy Spirit into my writing and to minister to others through that way. It helped to format the book that I'm writing. So it's, yeah, it does something to release that healing.
It does. It's another way of expressing it. And
it keeps it from bottling up, because if you don't get it out, then it'll come out in other ways of anger, depression, sick, illness. We talked about that. So you want to get out. You want to, that's the whole thing, is people don't want to talk about hurt and pain. They don't want to talk about it. They want to act like everything's all okay. People don't know what to say to a grieving person.
What should they say?
I love you. I'm sorry for your loss. Never, never say they're in heaven, they're happy now. They're in a better place. I know, we know they're in a better place. We already know they're in a better place. We know that. But a better place is for them with their family. My children didn't die on their ordained times. My son was taken because of an evil person. My daughter was taken because of a tragic accident. I don't think that was their time. In fact, I had a dream. My daughter came to me in a dream, and she asked me to forgive her. And she told me, she said, it wasn't my time to leave, Mommy. I'm sorry. So what you say is, I love you, and I want to pray for you. I want to know that I'm praying for you. I don't understand what you're going through. People try to understand what you're going through. Unless you've been through it, you can't say that I understand what you've been through. So there's so many things that were said to me that were hurtful, but then there were those that just embraced me and allow me still to this day to speak about my children, because one of our biggest pride in life is our children.
Sure.
And our grandchildren,
sure.
right?
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So we want to talk about all their accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just because they pass away and they die doesn't mean we still don't want to talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
Because we do. Mm-hmm. Parents want to talk about their children.
Sure.
And I love to brag about how great my daughter was playing volleyball. Mm-hmm. She was an MVP player. Mm-hmm. 5'10", long, scally legs, with a power hit that was knocked somebody out. Mm-hmm. And my son was an amazing quarterback in high school. You know, he was a great singer, songwriter. Yeah. He could dance like you wouldn't believe. Yeah. He could put Motown to shame. Yeah. So, you know, we still like to talk. So sure. allow that person to talk. Ask them. Mm-hmm. Tell me a story about your daughter. Tell me a story about your son. Mm-hmm. Tell me something about you and your husband. Mm-hmm. What was your favorite moment? Something.
Mm-hmm. And I think people feel they feel awkward because they're not sure you want to talk about it.
They don't want to bring it up.
Yeah. But I think you've done just now a great service to people who now know, that may not have known, that you want to talk about it.
And if we don't want to talk about it, mm-hmm. we will. I mm-hmm. know most people will say, I'm having a really hard time right now. Could you just pray for me?
Yeah, yeah. Cynthia, thank you so much for coming. It's hard to believe, but the hour has ripped by.
Always does, doesn't it?
It
Time
does.
goes by fast.
It does go by fast. And I want to thank you so much for coming, for being on Las Vegas Tonight and sharing your heart. Can people get a hold of you through Morning Hope of Las Vegas on Facebook? Would that be the best way to do it?
They can message me on there. And I also blog on a Facebook page called A Time to Heal. And you have a GoFundMe, right? GoFundMe /Portaro. So to help with some of the expenses and which are phenomenal, I know. God bless you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks
God bless you.
It's been very moving indeed. A remarkable woman, Cynthia Portaro. Thanks for watching Las Vegas Tonight, and I urge you, as I always do, to please walk with Christ. Hello, I'm Dale Davidson. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Las Vegas Tonight. Allow me to take just a few moments to let you know how you can learn more about some of the fascinating guests that I've interviewed. My new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints, is now available around the world. In it, I profile amazing people who make Las Vegas something much more than just a place to party. These compelling stories often tell of people who came to Las Vegas for reasons much different than the innovative ministries they ended up leading right here in Sin City. Take, for example, Tommy Scott, known as Hitman to his fellow members of an infamous gang in South Central Los Angeles. Tommy was serving time in a Las Vegas jail and contemplating suicide when a couple of pastors visited him in the lockup and led him to Christ. Tommy immediately began studying the Word and has become an on-fire evangelist and Christian author. Then there's Annie Meadows. Annie began life in a rural part of Kentucky, increasingly was fascinated with the occult, and eventually became a full-fledged witch. Rejecting anything having to do with God, she angrily vowed never to attend church or have anything at all to do with religion. Then, like Tommy, she had an encounter with the living Christ and now travels the world as a gospel singer and writes Christian children's books. Pastor Chris Chappell was an avowed atheist who also wanted nothing to do with the Lord. He was a successful businessman who felt he surely didn't need Jesus. His wife and father-in-law convinced him to attend church, and he felt a stirring that made him investigate the Bible's claims. Telling the Lord that he needed answers to his objections, he found those answers in a supernatural way and is now leading a remarkable church, Casa de Luz, in what's called the Naked City, which is a neighborhood just off the famous Las Vegas Strip. This formerly crime-ridden area is now experiencing a remarkable turnaround, and his church is serving that community in amazing ways. Doc Jones traveled to Las Vegas from New York on a personal mission to make as much money as he could. A born entrepreneur, he started a photography business that specialized in taking pictures of groups of partiers at the hot nightclubs on the Strip. He then learned that by referring young guys to the city's strip clubs, he could pick up lots of cash from the club's owners. That evolved into sending young women who were wannabe strippers to these so-called gentlemen's clubs, and then he managed their careers. Eventually, he felt so empty and despondent that he too thought seriously of suicide. Hearing a sermon about the prodigal son caused him to dedicate his life to Christ. Now an exceptional musician and composer of gospel rap, hip-hop, and spoken word genres, he is helping change Las Vegas from a place where sin abounds to a city where grace abounds more. Pastor Clegg Seth was an aspiring actor and screenwriter in Hollywood and a strong Christian who wanted to make a real difference for Christ in the entertainment world. But the Lord called him to establish a crisis hotline for runaway teens who were coming to Hollywood to pursue their silver screen dreams. He then started halfway houses for men and women with substance abuse and other problems. He also helped set up a similar men's home in Las Vegas. At one point, he developed a gambling habit, but the Lord delivered him from that problem, and he now devotes his life to sharing Christ with men in prison, serving seniors in a church setting, along with visits to nursing homes and hospitals. He has continued his quest to influence Hollywood through a ministry called the Christian Studio. I personally really look up to Clegg Seth as a model of how a Christian should live and serve others. He truly is one of the Vegas saints. Read these stories and more in this 226-page book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You can get your copy in several different ways. Go to my website, vegassaints.org, or order it on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. It's just $15.99 plus shipping. For more information or to make a donation to Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries that will help us keep this program on the air, please call 702-480-3989. Or you can write to us at Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara, Suite 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. And thank you so much for watching Las Vegas Tonight.
You've been watching Las Vegas Tonight with Dale Davidson. Send your tax-deductible gifts to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. Or call 702-480-3989. Thanks for watching. You've been watching Las Vegas Tonight with Dale Davidson. Send your tax-deductible gifts to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. Or call 702-480-3989. Thanks for watching. You've been watching Las Vegas Tonight with Dale Davidson. Send your tax-deductible gifts to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 891.